Hello, my name is Justin Shetrwaski and I am here with Grace Serrano, and we are here to do a comparison between Massacio and Ghiberti. So, just some background on the Renaissance. It was between the time period of the 14th and 16th century. Renaissance is actually a French word that came from the meaning of rebirth. It led to a modern era. It actually started as a cultural movement in Italy, late medieval time period, eventually spread throughout Europe. The Gutenberg printing press in 1450 was actually the starting point of the Renaissance because things were able to spread quickly, such as ideas and other news, and it allowed easy communication throughout Europe. This was the age of creativity, imagination, and curiosity. The people credited with beginning the Renaissance were people trying to recreate the classical models of ancient Greece and Rome. This was also a time when Venice was the world's busiest seaport and Florence was the heart of great art. Here we have three examples of art from the Renaissance era. On the left-hand side, we have the meeting of St. Anthony and St. Paul. In the middle, we have Perugino's Christ handing the keys to St. Peter. And then on the right-hand side, we have the School of Athens.
Hi, my name is Grace and I'm going to be talking about Lorenzo di Cione Ghiberti, better known as Lorenzo Ghiberti. He was born in Pelago, close to Florence, Italy in 1378. Ghiberti was trained by his father Bartoluccio Ghiberti in goldsmithing in their studio workshop. At the age of 22, he traveled to Rimini, another city of Italy, in 1400 and received further training as a sculptor. Then he returned to his birthplace to be part of a competition by a club called Arte di Calimala in 1401 to make a pair of bronze doors for the baptistry of Florence. This task was to match the baptistry's second set of doors with the first set completed by the artist Andrea Pisano. Even though 6 other artists applied, Ghiberti won the commission with his trial of a bronze relief of Abraham's sacrifice of Isaac. Later the following year, by the decisions of a large panel of judges, the young artist was immediately recognized for a long time. Here we can see the doors created by Andrea Pisano in 1330. They consist of 28 panels with different scenes and were meant to be read separately. This is how the famous Gates of Paradise began. Everything that we know about the Gates of the Paradise is because Ghiberti was asked to match the doors done by Andrea Pisano in the baptistries. In 1401, the first plan was for these doors to show various scenes from the Old Testament, but then it was changed to also include scenes from the New Testament of the Bible. In Ghiberti's piece, each door consists of 14 quadrifoil panel scenes from the life of Christ, the evangelist, and the church fathers. Ghiberti spent 27 years working on these doors, but also working on other great sculptures. The doors were so praised that he was asked to work on another set of doors. These doors are considered one of the greatest masterpieces of Italian art. While planning the doors, in 1412, Ghiberti was asked to create a larger-than-life-size bronze sculpture of St. John the Baptist for the exterior of the church of Orsa Michel. This sculpture was made from 1413 to 1414 in predominantly international Gothic style. After finishing this sculpture, he was quickly asked to create 2 similar bronze sculptures of St. Matthew. This sculpture was made from 1419 to 1422 in classical style, influenced by Donatello and Nani di Blanco. After this one, he created another one of St. Stephen that was between 1425 to 1429 in a combination of international Gothic style. In the 3 sculptures, we can appreciate the unrivaled mastery of the larger-than-life-size bronze sculptures by Lorenzo Ghiberti. When Lorenzo started his life as a sculptor, he adopted the Gothic style of the late 14th century to integrate it with the new expressive power of the Renaissance style in the early 15th century. This is why we see his sculptures and compared with the late 15th century. We see the difference because he has his own style that he created and make it his work special. After the time Lorenzo spent working on the doors, he moved to his next creation, the designs for the stained glass windows of the Florence Cathedral. These were called Lights of Sanctity. Lorenzo was responsible for 36 of the 44 windows in the cathedral. After many years of working in great masterpieces, leaving his legacy behind for us to learn and showing his passion just by those beautiful bronze sculptures, the sculptor Lorenzo Ghiberti died at the age of 77 on December 1st, 1455.
Alright, now I'm here to talk about Massacio. His birth name was Tommaso Casai, was considered the first great painter of the Renaissance, and he was born December 21st, 1401. He was born in Castle San Giovanni. It's now called San Giovanni Valdarno. It's a province of Arezzo. By the time he was 17, he was working as a painter in Florence. Who or how his training happened isn't quite clear. When he was around 21 or 22, he had already owned his own private workshop. He was also enrolled in the Arte de Medici e Speciali. This was a guild of doctors and pharmacists, but painters also belonged with them. In the same year, he unveiled his first dated work. This piece of work was the triptych in the church of San Giovanni in Cascia. Massacio was also praised because of his originality in rendering figures as fully three-dimensional figures. Also was recognized for how realistic his portraits were. In the year 1424, he enrolled in a confraternity of painters called the Compagnia di San Luca. Massacio left a standard that would be continued by Florentine artists for generations to come. Massacio had a unique individual style in which he owed little to other painters except the possibility of Giotto, who was the great 14th century master. Massacio's style consisted of revived signs of perspective to create an illusion of three-dimensional space, the technique of vanishing point and exploiting a single light source to give dimension to the human body. He integrated a new naturalistic approach to painting. Now, as you can see, is an example of the triptych in the church of San Giovanni in Cascia. This was his first dated work. On the left-hand side, which is the left compartment, you can see it's actually considered the weakest people. And then on the right compartment, it was the last in the order of the execution of the painting. Now here's an example of the Trinity. This is said to be the first full perspective in the history of Western art. This was also one of Maccio's arts that was made in Arno, and he actually left from Massimo during a chapel painting, and this is when he made Trinity. Now, to give further info on Massacio's frescoes, despite being young, you could see that his expertise excelled his elders in all of his frescoes. These are considered the main development of the Florentine Renaissance style of painting. In his frescoes, instead of traditionally painting them in a uniform light, he chose to paint them in a way to where they appeared to be lit from a single source of light versus a uniform light that would make them look two-dimensional. With this, he created a more realistic image that gave them a more natural look. Now, to just give you a quick comparison between the two of them, Massacio was born in 1401. He was a painter, but he also died at a young age, around 26. His death is unknown. It's said that he died because he was poisoned by a jealous painter. Ghiberti was born in 1378. He was a sculptor. He actually had a wife and he had two sons. But both were considered greats at their respective forms of art in their time periods.
And this was for Humanities 2020. Thank you for listening.